Microsoft's cloud gaming in xCloud is going to allow previously impossible gaming experiences to occur. One of the big things Microsoft and Xbox have been working on over the last several years is the integration of xCloud into its gaming ecosystem. Now, before we jump into this any further, if you guys are new here and you enjoy what you see throughout this video, I would really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button to help this channel grow and help grow this community so we can have some great conversations in the comments below. I'm sure everybody remembers Crackdown 3 and its initial reveal in 2015 where they showed the multiplayer gameplay of Wrecking Zone and how they were using cloud-based technology in order to make the entire environments while playing multiplayer destructible. Gameplay footage was originally shown off in 2015 at Gamescom and basically showing how within the game you were able to destroy everything and really have a lot of granularity in how the structures were destroyed. And obviously when Wrecking Zone, the multiplayer part of Crackdown 3 was released, they did not deliver on that, but the concept itself was pretty amazing when it was being shown off. In fact, this is what they were claiming it was going to be able to deliver with their CloudGen engine, which they were using with Crackdown 3, and basically saying they are going to deliver on the original promise. They added that by connecting to the cloud, Crackdown 3 will harness 20 times the computational power of the Xbox One hardware. And one of the main reasons I think obviously they had to do this with the Xbox One is if they really wanted to get these really awesome gaming experiences that definitely wouldn't be powerful on the Xbox One hardware, because the Xbox One hardware, especially before they released the Xbox One X, was pretty weak. Even when it first originally launched in 2014, it was a pretty underpowered console, so they had to kind of use something else in order to boost that power, and cloud gaming seemed like the solution they were going for. But that was really in its infancy of cloud gaming. They obviously, like I said, didn't deliver on Wrecking Zone completely what they were saying, because the destruction wasn't as cool looking, as granular as they were showing off in that video. But it looks like they're continuing to expand on the technology of cloud gaming, of xCloud, in order to utilize it for more experiences that we would usually not be able to get if it wasn't implemented. Now, Microsoft's current xCloud is built on Azure servers and PlayFab technology, and the former PlayFab CEO and co-founder James Gertzman is now Microsoft's general manager for cloud gaming. And he was interviewed and he talked about some new opportunities that cloud gaming technology could bring to the Xbox consoles and could bring to gaming, stuff that wasn't previously possible without it. So here's what he said. It's pretty long, but it's also interesting, so I'm going to read it all. We have a number of industry priority scenarios. It doesn't roll off the tongue, but there are things that we think the industry really cares about today that may be pain points that we're trying to help with. The first one on our list of 5 is to accelerate game production with the cloud. The act of content creation, once you have it in the cloud, distribution becomes more fluid. We see this with xCloud. It started out as just racking Xboxes in data centers and streaming it. Now we're getting more experience with it. You may be able to build game experiences that would not be possible without running the cloud. Games where you can have lots of players in a single environment interacting in new ways. xCloud was about putting Xboxes in the cloud. Laugh at the broader term is pixel streaming, where you're running GPUs in the cloud and streaming it down. Initially, pixel streaming is going to be useful in non-gaming scenarios like architecture or retail, where you want a 3D experience but you don't have the hardware. This will then make the move into gaming, and you'll see developers leveraging experiences that go beyond what was possible before. So that's an interesting quote. My first thing about this is he mentions how using the xCloud for retail services and for people who don't have the actual architecture and hardware available to them, who want to display stuff, they want to have pixel streaming and 3D experiences. That makes a lot of sense, because that's kind of, I think, the reason they were trying to do this with Crackdown 3 initially, was that the Xbox One was so weak that they wanted to be able to have this awesome feature of the destructibility within it, but they had to use the cloud to do this. I think with the Xbox Series X, at least, it is such a powerful console already. I don't know when they'll need to implement any of the stuff to get the experiences that they want out of those consoles. However, with the power of the Series X and even the Series S, plus the addition of this cloud technology, we could definitely see some pretty amazing stuff in the future of Xbox. Now, this quote is actually super interesting. It's completely different. I hadn't heard about this before, and really just has to do with voice acting in video games and using the cloud. So I'll just read you what he says. We have voice font technology, where we can record and listen to a couple of dozen of hours of someone talking and then build a model that can recreate that person's voice saying whatever we want them to say. When you think about that in the context of deepfakes, it's deeply troubling. But when you think about it to use it in voice casting for games, it could allow an idle developer with a small budget to create thousands of hours of dialogue. Even better, have the computer speak using AI in whatever voice you want. You can get some really cool creative experiences. I love the idea of using voice fonts to let the computer speak in a more natural way than you typically get today. There's neat opportunities like that coming. That one is really cool, but it's also a little bit scary if you think about it, because when you hear a computer talk right now, it still sounds pretty robotic, and you can tell that it is just voice simulation. It's just computer reading out whatever text is inputted into them. But with this technology here, it's sounding like they're going to be able to completely one-to-one replicate somebody's voice if they have enough hours of their voice speaking. And using the cloud and AI technology to do this, it will allow smaller developers that can't afford big budget actors or big voice actors in general to have some pretty neat voice acting within their games. And I think for that use alone, for those smaller titles that want to have higher production with their voice work, would be a really cool thing to see utilized. So this is all really interesting, but obviously just concept right now, as we haven't seen any of it really utilized within Xbox and through xCloud. I mean, xCloud itself as a game streaming service does work fine. It does work great if you have a good internet connection. I've played games through my Android phone, and I find that it actually does well. I mean, there's a little bit of lag and a little bit of pixelation right at the beginning when it's like trying to get that connection, get going, and you see that it's definitely a cloud-based service, but once it establishes that good connection, it runs and looks pretty good. The other stuff here that he's talking about, we may see that in the future. I think that the Series X is powerful enough to be able to last developers for pretty much this entire generation and be able to put in the experiences that they're looking to put in for the majority of it. And a lot of them may not need to utilize any additional horsepower, any additional cloud stuff, but I'm sure some will in the future when they want to be really ambitious, like they were trying with Crackdown 3. And then that voice acting thing, I mean, that's going to be super interesting to see if that actually ever works, if that actually ever comes to games, and especially like he said, with those small developers who don't have the budget for those voice actors. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. What do you think about xCloud? Have you used it? What do you think about the overall experience with the service? And what do you think about these technologies that James Gertzman talked about that could potentially be utilized in the future? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you are new here and you like what you see throughout this video, I'd really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button to help this channel grow, help grow this community so we can have some great conversations in the comments below. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.